Hey guys, tonight we slip quietly into a time when the air feels heavier, thick with the smells of damp leaves, wood smoke, and wild animal musk. You blink, and the familiar ceiling above your bed fades, replaced by the canopy of a forest so dense it swallows most of the sunlight. It's around 100,000 years before your usual morning alarm. And here you are, in a world where nothing is guaranteed except the gnaw of hunger and the chase to keep it quiet. You're not just walking barefoot in prehistory, you're holding something special in your hands. Something that might just tip the scales in your favor. A wooden bow. You might think, cool, I'm basically Katniss Everdeen now. But hold on without skill. You're just another snack wandering the underbrush. Spoiler alert, you probably won't survive this week. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And I'd love to know where you are listening from and what time it is for you. Drop it in the comments below. Now, dim the lights. Maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum. And let's ease into tonight's journey together. You trudge forward, each step squelching faintly in the mud. The bow you carry feels crude compared to anything you'd see at a sporting goods store. There are no polished limbs of fiberglass, no sleek pulleys for easy draw. This is just bent wood, a strip of sinew stretched taut, and maybe an arrow tipped with sharpened bone. Yet, in your hands, it feels revolutionary. You're part of the earliest experiments in distance hunting, a literal game changer compared to hand-thrown spears. One fact worth savouring: the oldest known evidence of bow use, found in South Africa's Sibidu cave, suggests humans may have been experimenting with archery nearly 64,000 years ago. So, while your exact date tonight is a guess, you're still hanging out with the true pioneers. The forest hums with life. You tilt your head and hear the chatter of monkeys high in the branches, their silhouettes leaping from limb to limb. Above them, bursts of bird wings startle into the light. Both are tempting, both are maddening. Spears are clumsy here, throw one, and it'll clatter through leaves while your target disappears. But this bow, it could finally give you reach into the canopy. Still, let's not exaggerate. These first bows aren't delivering Marvel movie power. They're fragile, the arrow's lightweight, and hitting a moving monkey is about as easy as texting with mittens. Historians still argue whether early bows were actually useful for big game, or more suited to birds and small creatures. In other words, you're stuck figuring it out in real time. You crouch behind a massive tree trunk, the bark damp against your cheek, your breath comes shallow, and you try to slow it down. If you exhale too hard, a bird might lift off, or worse, a monkey might screech loud enough to alert the forest that a human is lurking below. And if you've ever heard a monkey scream up close, it's like someone crossed a fire alarm with a toddler tantrum. Not exactly stealth-friendly. You finger the bowstring. It's made from twisted fibers of animal sinew mixed with plant strands, primitive. Yes, but astonishingly resilient. Still, the string could snap at any moment, lashing your hand and leaving you bowless. Think of it as a prehistoric version of your phone battery. Unreliable, always running low when you need it most. Yet the innovation here is incredible. By storing tension, you can release energy faster than your arm ever could with a spear. That's the genius: more speed, more range, more possibilities. The ground under you is alive with insects. Ants crawl over your toes, but you dare not twitch. Sweat rolls down your temple, salt stinging your eyes. This is survival as much in the mind as the body. You think back to the fire circle the night before, when an elder told of hunters in distant lands who smeared their arrows with plant poisons. Whether that's true or campfire gossip, you can't tell, but the idea lingers. Imagine, even a scratch from your arrow could mean dinner. Quirky tidbit: later cultures actually did smear arrows with everything from snake venom to, you guessed it, crocodile dung, which sounds less like hunting strategy and more like a dare gone wrong. Movement above. A monkey halts, its tail curling like a question mark, eyes darting toward the ground. Did it sense you? Your muscles tense, every nerve coiled. You knock the arrow. Awkward and fumbling. The draw weight isn't much, maybe 30 pounds at best, but your shoulders ache all the same. You hold, waiting for stillness. But monkeys aren't statues. They twitch, leap, and scurry. You release anyway. The arrow whispers upward, slicing the air, disappearing into green shadow. A screech explodes from the branches, not a victory, but alarm. The monkey lives, scampering out of sight, while a chorus of warning calls echoes through the forest. You've basically just announced to every living creature, dinner's cancelled, human in aisle 4. You slump back, groaning. Failure stings, but it's not the end. In fact, every miss teaches you more. You notice how the arrow arced quickly downward, how leaves snagged its flight. If you want success, you'll need not just strength, but cunning predicting movement. Aiming where prey will be, not where it is now. This realization is a quiet turning point. Hunting isn't about brute force. It's chess played in shadows, where patience matters more than muscle. Hours blur. Hunger gnaws at you. Your clan waits miles away, counting on you to return with food. In this world, one lucky bird could mean survival for children too young to hunt. Responsibility weighs heavier than the bow itself. You glimpse a parrot perched low, its bright feathers blazing against dull greens. A perfect target if you don't botch it. You breathe slow, adjust your grip, and pull. For a moment, the world contracts. No ants, no sweat, no aching shoulders, just you. String and prey. Release. The arrow hums. The parrot erupts in flight. Did you hit? You rush forward, branches whipping your face. Nothing. Empty air, drifting feathers, and mocking squawks fading into the distance. Another miss. Your stomach growls louder than the forest itself. And here's the rub. While boughs feel like a revelation, they're not magic wands. Archaeologists suggest early hunters still relied heavily on traps, group drives, and sheer persistence. The bow might have been backup, a tool for special situations. Think of it like the world's first side hustle. You don't quit your day job just yet. And historians still argue whether early humans even trusted bows enough to invest serious time, or whether they saw them as gimmicky toys. Imagine spending hours carving a bow only for it to snap mid-hunt. Not exactly a confidence booster, but something in you insists on trying again. You wipe your forehead, push deeper into the forest, and keep your eyes skyward. You know that each attempt, each failure, is a step forward in human evolution, even if you don't frame it that way. For you, it's just dinner on the line. For history, it's the slow dawn of technology that will one day lead to armies bristling with arrows, mythic heroes like Robin Hood, and even the invention of long-range warfare. All that lies far ahead. But here in the dim undergrowth, it's still just you and your stubborn bow. You crouch again, listening, steadying, believing that next time, the arrow will fly true. The forest canopy stretches above you like a living ceiling, every branch crisscrossing into a maze of shade and flickering light. You keep your eyes upward, neck aching, because here is where your dinner lives. The monkeys and the birds claim the treetops as their fortress, safe from the stumbling humans below. Safe, at least until you arrive with this bend of wood in your hands. You don't feel like a superhero, though more like a beginner gamer trying to survive on the hardest difficulty. You shift your weight, careful not to snap a twig. The ground is littered with leaves that crunch louder than they should. Every noise you make risks a sharp-eyed bird noticing you or a monkey unleashing an alarm cry. That alarm call doesn't just scare you, it tells every creature in earshot something dangerous is near. It's the forest's version of social media, except way faster and without the memes. You scan the branches. A cluster of monkeys hangs in the mid-canopy, tails flicking as they forage. They're quick, sharp, and surprisingly strategic. One fact: scientists today have proven that many monkey species use specific calls to warn each other of predators. Different sounds for snakes, for eagles, even for humans, which means you're not just sneaking up on them, you're facing an opponent with its own early language system. Great. Right. It's basically like trying to rob a bank where the alarms scream in 3 dialects. You nock an arrow, your fingers clumsy but determined. The bow creaks as you draw, wood fibers protesting. A monkey pauses, turns its head, and for a second, its eyes meet yours. There's something unsettling in that stare. This isn't a rabbit or a fish. It's a thinking animal that recognizes your intent. For a heartbeat, you hesitate. Then you release. The arrow arcs upward, cutting through shafts of sunlight. It grazes a branch, wobbles, and misses by a wide margin. The monkey lets out a piercing screech, leaps sideways, and the whole troop explodes into motion. Branches sway, leaves rain down, and the air fills with high-pitched cries. You crouch lower, heart hammering. Every bird within reach flutters away in panic. So much for stealth. You rub your forehead, muttering under your breath, if monkeys could laugh, you're certain they would. You imagine them up there holding little signs. Nice try. Human. And honestly, you can't help but grin a little. This is absurd, trying to outwit creatures that live their whole lives in the treetops when you barely manage to balance on two legs down here. But then you hear it, the flapping of wings. A flock of pigeons bursts upward. Startled by the commotion, you instinctively raise the bow, fumble another arrow onto the string, and aim. The birds scatter in a dozen directions. You pick one, draw, release. The arrow streaks but sails harmlessly through the air. The bird glides away untouched, disappearing beyond the canopy. Another strikeout. Your quiver feels lighter, your patience thinner. The truth is, this isn't an action movie with guaranteed hits. Real hunting in prehistory was long, exhausting, and full of failure. Archaeologists studying ancient sites often find piles of broken arrow fragments, proof that hunters spent more time missing than hitting. Historians still argue whether those early hunters preferred to shoot from ambushes or stalk through the undergrowth. Both had drawbacks. Ambush meant hours of waiting, often with nothing to show. Stalking meant you scared off half the forest before you even got close. You lean against a tree, bow resting across your knees. Sweat darkens your hair, and your mouth feels like sand. You think about how many calories you've already burned just sneaking and shooting, and how few you've gained. This is the brutal math of survival. One parrot might feed you for a day, but one miss cost you hours of energy. It's like spending all your coins in an arcade, only to walk away with a plastic keychain. Still, you can't stop now. Hunger is relentless. You adjust your strategy. Instead of aiming for the monkeys, you study their patterns. You notice how they pause at certain branches, how they circle back to the fruiting trees. If you can anticipate their movement, you might line up the shot. It's not brute force, it's patience. So you wait. The forest shifts around you. Cicadas buzz. Lizards dart over roots. Distant howls echo. Slowly, the monkeys return, testing the air, eyes flicking downward as if to check whether you're gone. You crouch, holding still, bow ready. One juvenile ventures lower, dangling from its tail to pluck a piece of fruit. It's only a few meters above your reach now. Perfect distance if you can stay calm. You inhale, aim, and draw. The string vibrates faintly, your arm trembling with effort. Release. The arrow streaks upward. Straighter this time. It thuds into bark, just inches from the monkey's side. The monkey screeches, drops its fruit, and bolts. The troop scatters again, tails whipping in panic. Another failure, but closer. Closer is good. Closer means you're learning. Frustration mixes with determination. You remind yourself that even modern archers need years to master accuracy. Imagine trying it with no lessons, no range, and arrows that wobble like drunk mosquitoes. Early hunters weren't flawless snipers. They were stubborn experimenters. And you, right now, are part of that stubborn lineage. You shuffle deeper into the foliage. Quieter this time, a bird call stops you. High above, perched on a thin branch, sits a toucan. Its enormous beak glows orange against the green, like a lantern in the leaves. You can't resist. Carefully, you nock an arrow, steady your breath, and raise the bow. This time, you aim not at the bird, but slightly ahead, imagining where it might leap. You draw, hold, release. The arrow sings upward. The toucan squawks, wings flaring. And for a split second, you think you've hit. But no, the arrow slices just beneath, and the bird soars away, leaving only a drifting feather. You pluck it from the air, twirling it between your fingers. A small prize, but not enough to eat. You sigh and drop onto a fallen log. The day stretches long, shadows growing. Your body aches from tension. Your fingers raw from the string. Yet something inside you won't quit. You've felt the arrow fly straighter. You've seen the monkeys hesitate. You're close to success. Night is coming. Though, and night in this forest isn't friendly. Jaguars prowl. Snakes glide. Insects bite. You picture yourself stumbling in the dark, tripping over roots while glowing eyes follow. You shake your head. rising again. One more try. Just one. As you creep forward, you think about how this simple bow is reshaping everything. A wooden stick and a bit of string are forcing you to rethink strategy. Patience, even courage, later. Bows will transform warfare, protect kingdoms, and write legends. But tonight, here in this dim forest, they're just teaching you how hard it is to put dinner on the fire. You notch another arrow, breath steady, eyes scanning the canopy. You whisper to yourself, this time, the bow hums softly in your hands, almost as if it's alive. Its tension whispering secrets you don't yet understand. You've missed more shots than you've taken, and every arrow gone means fewer chances left to bring food home. The real challenge isn't the monkeys or the birds, it's the bow itself. This stubborn, unpredictable invention that refuses to obey you fully. You sit cross-legged on a mossy stone, fingers massaging the string. It's crude, a twisting of sinew from a gazelle you helped butcher weeks ago. The fibers glisten faintly with sweat and oil, stretched tighter than feels safe. You've already seen one hunter's bowstring snap mid-draw, whipping back to slice his hand open. It's a scar he'll carry forever, and a lesson carved in blood. The bow is as dangerous to its wielder as it is to prey. Think of it like your prehistoric iPhone impressive, but prone to catastrophic glitches at the worst possible time. The wood itself, bent carefully by fire and patience, groans when you draw it. You can feel its resistance, its demand that you respect its limits. Pull too far, and the fibers will crack. Don't pull far enough, and your arrow will flutter like a paper airplane. The margin for error is razor thin. And yet this fragile tool represents something extraordinary. One mainstream fact here. Bows and arrows represent one of humanity's first machines. A system that stores energy and releases it in a burst. That's engineering long before anyone could even spell engineering. You pick up one of your arrows, stroking the shaft. It's barely straight, carved with stone scrapers until the wood looked obedient enough. The tip is chipped bone, fire-hardened but brittle. You run your thumb over it and wince at the rough edge. Without fletching, the arrow wobbles in flight, easily snagged by leaves. It's like trying to bowl with a lopsided ball. You can try, but don't expect a strike. Some hunters back at camp swear by adding feathers at the back, claiming it helps stabilize the shot. Others scoff, saying it's wasted effort. Historians still argue whether fletching was common in this deep prehistory or only invented later. Right now, you're caught in the middle of that debate. Experimenting by necessity, a squirrel-like creature scampers across a low branch. Pausing to sniff at the bark, you seize the chance. Arrow knocked, bow drawn. You squint. The squirrel freezes, whiskers twitching, as if sensing what's coming. You release. The string slaps your fingers, stinging sharply, and the arrow darts forward, only to tumble clumsily after a meter. Bouncing off a root, the squirrel vanishes. You grimace, sucking on your fingers. The bowstring has left thin welts, reminders that even practice hurts. Somewhere in the forest, monkeys howl, almost mocking your failure. You lean back, laughing bitterly. Hunting with a bow feels less like survival and more like slapstick comedy. You picture a modern coach shouting from the sidelines. Bend your elbow, anchor at your cheek. Don't let the string wobble. But you don't have coaches? Just trial and error. And error loves you company. Still, you keep working. You pull the bowstring slowly, listening to the fibers stretch, adjusting your grip to keep it from biting your fingers. You practice without arrows, drawing again and again, building muscle memory in your arms. You whisper small jokes to yourself to stay sane. Step 1, don't shoot your own foot. Step 2, actually hit dinner. The sun shifts, streaking the canopy with gold. Insects buzz louder, and a pair of bright parrots squabble nearby. You notice how their wings glint like polished stone. They'd make a meal, and maybe jewelry from the feathers. Your clan would be proud. You knock another arrow, this one straighter, with a thin strip of bird feather tied clumsily at the back. An experiment. You draw, release, and watch as the arrow cuts smoother through the air. Straighter than before. Still a miss, but close, so close your chest tightens with hope. That feathered tail feels like magic. Maybe this is the key. You recall the elders arguing by firelight. Some said copying birds' wings was foolish. Others whispered that feathers carry the spirit of flight. You don't know which is true, but right now, You don't care. You tie feathers to the rest of your arrows, hands shaking with excitement. Another shot, another arc. This time, the arrow doesn't wobble as much, slicing toward a low-hanging branch. It lodges there, quivering, only a hand span from where a bird had perched. Success is still out of reach, but progress gleams like flint struck for fire. You grin, feeling the forest tilt in your favor for once. A quirky tidbit. Later cultures sometimes strung their bows with human hair, believing it carried the soul's strength. Imagine explaining that to your clan, now everyone yanking out their locks just so you can miss fewer shots. For now, sinew and plant fiber will have to do. You keep at it. Hours pass in a rhythm of draw. Release, retrieve, repeat. Your arms burn, your shoulders ache, but each arrow teaches you learn to feel when the bow is about to snap, to sense the sweet spot of draw length. You discover that angling the bow slightly helps clear branches, that crouching low steadies your aim. The forest becomes your training ground. Every leaf a lesson. And then, finally, it happens. A small bird, unaware, perches just above your reach. You breathe, steady, and loose the arrow. It streaks upward, straighter than ever before. A faint thump, a flutter of wings, and the bird drops. Not far, not clean, but enough. You rush forward, hands trembling, and pick it up. Tiny, fragile, but food nonetheless. Relief washes over you like cool water. Tonight, there will be something to share at the fire. You whisper thanks to the bird, to the bough, even to your own stubbornness. Around you, the forest seems to quiet, acknowledging your first victory. It's small, but in prehistory, small is survival. As you walk back toward camp, bow across your shoulder, you can't help but marvel at what just unfolded. You didn't invent the bow, but you've helped prove its worth. You've felt its danger, its promise, its maddening quirks. You've learned that survival here isn't just about strength, but about tinkering, testing, and refusing to give up even when the monkeys laugh at you from above. And as the shadows deepen, you know this is only the beginning. The fire burns low, sending sparks into the night. And you sit among your people with the bow resting across your knees. The others chew roasted roots, gnaw on strips of dried meat, and whisper in the dark. Every face is lit by flickers of orange flame, making eyes glimmer like small stars. You can feel the weight of your small bird in your belly, hardly more than a mouthful, but its significance is far heavier than its size. Tonight, you aren't just another gatherer or clumsy spear thrower. Tonight, you are the one who has coaxed this strange wooden curve into feeding the clan. Still, doubts gnaw at you. What if it was luck? What if tomorrow, every shot flies crooked again? A single bird isn't enough for everyone, and though they shared your catch with smiles and pats on the shoulder, hunger doesn't forgive novelty for long. Survival demands consistency, not accidents. The bow lies heavy across your thighs, its smooth wood smelling faintly of smoke. You run your fingers along its length and feel something stirring in unease mixed with pride. This tool isn't just bone or stone. It is a step away from the immediate body, from teeth and muscles and blunt rocks. It is distance turned into power. That thought is both comforting and terrifying. Comforting, because distance keeps claws and tusks away from your skin. Terrifying, because distance can also separate you from the honesty of the hunt. When you drive a spear, you feel the impact. With the bow, it is silence. Then sudden death. You rise before dawn. The camp's still asleep. The air is damp, and a mist curls over the ground like pale smoke. You sling your quiver of fragile arrows across your back and clutch the bow tight, moving softly into the trees. Alone, you feel smaller but sharper, tuned to every sound. A branch creaking overhead, the shuffle of tiny paws in the leaf litter, the distant cough of a night-stirred predator. As you walk, your thoughts drift to what this tool could mean. If you can master it, then others will follow. The clan may grow less reliant on risky confrontations with boar or antelope. The bow could turn the balance of survival itself, or it could break in your hands, betraying you when you need it most. Innovation is always a gamble, though you don't yet have a word for it. You crouch by a stream, its shallow waters crawling with fish. Spears are the tradition here, sharp sticks plunged into flashing bodies. But you wonder, could arrows pierce water? You notch one, draw. and release. The arrow dives with a splash, vanishes, and surfaces drifting sideways. Its fragile tip snapped. A waste. You curse softly, pluck it back, and study the broken edge. Lesson learned. The bow is for air, not water. The spear still rules here, moving deeper into the forest. You catch sight of a troop of monkeys clambering noisily through the canopy. They chatter and throw seeds, mocking intruders. Your stomach tightens. These creatures are clever, quick, hard to hit even with a spear. Yet they're also meat, fat, rich, and filling. You slip into the undergrowth, eyes tracking their movements. You raise the bow, take aim at one perched low on a branch, and hold your breath. The arrow flies, swift and truer than yesterday, but glances off bark with a dull thunk. The monkey screeches, scampers higher, and the whole troop explodes in alarm, scattering through the trees. Your heart pounds, both from fear of discovery and from the thrill of trying. You've failed, but differently than before. Each attempt is a teacher. Later, you stumble upon a clearing where birds flock in the tall grass, pecking seeds. You kneel, patient, waiting for one to stray within range. You feel the bowstring dig into your fingertips. The wood creak as you draw, and then you release. The arrow arcs, strikes with a soft puff of feathers. A bird tumbles, flapping weakly. This time, you sprint forward and finish it quickly. Another catch. Not much, but proof that yesterday wasn't a fluke. By midday, your quiver is lighter, your arms sore, and your mind brimming with thoughts. Every shot has been a gamble, but the bow has given you something new. A sense of possibility, unlike stones or clubs, which rely on brute force. This is precision. It's as if you've carved a piece of the forest's own energy into your tool, storing it in the bent wood and unleashing it when needed. A weapon that bends time and distance into a single motion. Back at camp, you share the bird again, smaller than the clan's hunger, but bigger than doubt. The elders mutter, weighing what they see. Some nod approval, eyes glittering with pride. Others frown, wary of change. One of them, old and scarred, speaks in a voice that carries authority. A tool that kills from afar may anger the spirits. We must not depend on it. Another counters. Spirits gave us wood, sinew, feathers. Perhaps they want us to use them. The fire crackles as debate swells. You sit silently, caught between reverence and defiance. Night falls again, and you lie awake listening to the distant hoot of owls. Your fingers trace the bowstring's grooves on your skin. You think about the future. What if children are raised with bows as naturally as with spears? What if entire hunts are orchestrated by volleys of arrows instead of risky chases? Could this invention change the very shape of your people's lives? You remember how the first time you saw fire, it seemed like a wild animal, dangerous and uncontrollable. But now it is warmth, light, and safety. Perhaps the bow is fire again, frightening at first, but destined to become essential. You drift to sleep imagining whole forests echoing with the hum of bowstrings. The air alive with arrows like rain. Dawn again. Another day. Another chance. You walk out with determination. Your bow lighter now. Your confidence heavier. The monkeys still laugh. The birds still scatter. But somewhere inside you, a shift has happened. You no longer feel like a victim of luck. You feel like a student of a new craft. Rough and raw but real. And though hunger still stalks your people, there is also the faintest spark of something else. Hope sharpened into an arrow's point. This hope will not feed everyone yet, but it might one day, and that thought alone is enough to steady your grip as you lift the bow once more. The forest breathes around you, thick with damp air and the sharp tang of crushed leaves underfoot. You stalk forward slowly, bow gripped in one hand, arrow held lightly in the other. Above, the monkeys chatter like hecklers at a comedy show you never signed up for, tossing bits of bark, fruit skins, even the occasional projectile that you'd rather not identify. You squint up through the canopy. They're not just prey. They're little tacticians with tails, always watching, always laughing at your clumsy earthbound struggle. You wait in the shadows, back pressed against a mossy trunk, breathing steady. The monkeys move as if they know the forest better than you ever will, swinging branch to branch, pausing only to screech insults in a language you almost wish you could understand. You notch an arrow, tilt your head, and track one that lingers too long on a low branch. Your shoulders tense, the bow bends. You hold your breath. Release. The arrow hisses upward too slow. The monkey tilts its head, leaps, and your shot slices only empty air. A rain of scornful chatter follows, echoing like laughter. You crouch again, muttering under your breath. Hunting monkeys isn't like hunting birds. Birds scatter, flap, vanish in panic. Monkeys watch. They plan, they remember. Some scholars argue that these early confrontations with clever prey sharpened human intelligence, forcing you and your kind to think not just about speed or strength, but strategy. Historians still argue whether it was prey or predators that most shaped human ingenuity. But staring up at these furry acrobats, you suspect prey had a bigger hand than anyone admits. Your clan has mixed feelings about monkey hunts. The meat is sweet, rich with fat, but the chase is humiliating. For every successful shot, there are 10 days of failure. Yet that only makes victory taste sharper. You lick cracked lips, scan the branches again, and consider new tactics. If they're clever, you must be cleverer. Maybe you don't chase, maybe you wait, quiet as stone, for them to come to you. So you settle into the undergrowth. Hours pass. The forest shifts, sunlight tilts, bugs whine, sweat beads on your temples. Slowly, the troop forgets you. They return to play, chasing each other, squabbling over fruit, and then one climbs low again, dangling on a branch heavy with figs. Your arm rises smooth and slow. The bow hums, the arrow streaks. This time, it strikes with a thud, burying deep. The monkey shrieks, thrashes, and falls. Silence explodes in the canopy. The troop erupts in alarm, vanishing into shadows with screams that sound almost human. You walk to the fallen body, heart pounding. Its fur is warm beneath your hand. Its eyes glassy now, fixed on nothing. For a flicker of a moment, you feel unease. These creatures are cousins of sorts, more like you than deer or birds. Some say the spirits frown at killing them. Others insist survival has no cousins, only meals. You lift the body, its weight awkward but solid, and turn back towards camp. The clan stares as you emerge. Monkey slung over your shoulder. Children crowd close, tugging at its limp hands, eyes wide. The elders nod solemnly. You've proven not just luck, but skill. Fire crackles, and soon the air fills with rich, greasy smoke. Monkey meat sizzles, dripping fat into the flames. The smell is almost unbearable after a day of hunger. Everyone eats, grease-coating lips and fingers, satisfaction softening faces. Tonight, your bow has done what no spear managed in weeks. Around the fire, stories begin to form. They embellish, as stories always do. Some claim you shot 3 monkeys in a single breath. Others swear you lured the troop with secret chants. You sit quietly, letting the exaggerations grow. This is how legends are born. Truth stretched until it binds the group together. You feel pride, but also caution. If the bow makes you too much a hero, envy may stir. Balance is survival. 2. Later, you sit apart, cleaning your arrows, picking strands of fur from their tips. The bow rests across your lap. You study it like a riddle. Why did today succeed where yesterday failed? Was it patience? Was it the stillness you forced into your body until you became part of the forest itself? Or was it chance again? Dressed up as skill, you wonder if the answer even matters. A thought creeps in, half-formed but insistent. If monkeys demand strategy, maybe the bow itself will force people to become strategists, no longer charging blindly with spears, but planning ambushes, setting traps, reading the movements of prey, the way one reads the flow of a river. This weapon may not just change what you hunt, it may change who you are. Night deepens. You lie back on the packed earth, belly full, eyes tracing the constellations your people whisper about. You think of tomorrow, and the day after, and the new challenge this tool sets before you. Hunting monkeys is not just about hunger now. It's a game of wits, a puzzle, a contest where both sides learn from each other. You almost laugh at the thought that somewhere in those treetops, a monkey might be telling its own story tonight about a strange upright creature who shoots sticks from wood and how one of their kin didn't dodge fast enough. Maybe they will grow warier, cleverer still. Maybe the arms race between your kind and theirs has only just begun. A breeze sighs through the canopy, stirring leaves into whispers. You close your eyes, the bough resting beside you, and let yourself drift. Tomorrow the monkeys will test you again, and you will test them in return. For now, though, the night holds you, and the game is paused until dawn. The forest stirs before you, alive with chirps and rustles, every branch dripping with bird song. You crouch low in the tall grass, bow across your lap, eyes tilted skyward. The monkeys may be cunning, but birds are tricksters of a different kind. Nimble, weightless, never still, they scatter at the snap of a twig, vanish at the gleam of an arrowhead. Yet your stomach growls, reminding you that feathers, bones, and flesh are all the same once they meet the fire. You inch forward, careful as a shadow. The dawn light filters through the canopy, painting everything in shades of green and gold. Birds wheel and dip, their wings flashing like coins tossed in sunlight. Your bowstring hums faintly as you notch an arrow. Patience is key. Rush, and you lose everything. You steady your breathing, narrow your eyes, and let go. The arrow whistles upward, slices the air, and feathers explode in a puff. A bird tumbles, hitting the earth with a dull thump. You run to it, scooping up the twitching body, small, but food nonetheless. You whisper thanks to the forest whether to calm yourself or to ease some unseen spirit. You aren't sure. One bird is never enough, but it's proof you can turn air and wood into meat again. You tie it to your belt and return to the undergrowth, gaze scanning for more. Birds make you work harder. They roost in clusters, their calls filling the trees like gossip. Strike one, and the others vanish in a storm of wings. Miss once, and you may as well go home empty-handed. The clan knows this. 2, children throw stones, hoping to knock them down. Hunters climb trees, clutching nests with shaking hands. And yet, the bow offers something different, a reach that could turn chance into skill. Your thoughts drift, as they often do now, toward the balance of effort and reward. One arrow takes hours to craft splitting wood, straightening shafts over coals, fletching feathers carefully, break it, and you lose more than just a shot. Spears, at least, survive. But arrows, they vanish in tall grass, sink in mud, shatter on bark. It's a fragile bargain. This tool you hold, some of the elders argue that relying on it is foolish, that a true hunter trusts only muscle and stone. Historians still argue whether bows appeared this early at all, or if people stuck with spears for tens of thousands more years. Standing here, bow in hand, you don't care for the debates. You know what you've seen. Hunger sharpens your senses. You notice how birds return to the same spots. A favorite fig tree, a shallow pool where they bathe. You wonder if waiting is wiser than chasing. So you settle near the pool, tucking yourself into brush, still as carved rock. Hours pass. Ants crawl over your legs. Sweat drips down your back. But eventually, they come, 1, then 2, then a dozen, fluttering and splashing in the shallow water. You notch an arrow. Draw back slow. The bow creaks softly, like a warning. You exhale. Let the string slip. The arrow flashes, strikes, and another bird crumples. The rest erupt into the sky, wings thunderous. You rush to grab your prize. A plump one this time, breast heavy with fat. 2 birds now, tied at your belt. Not enough for all, but enough to matter. On the way back, you think about the clan, how their eyes brighten when you return with even a little food, how the children reach for the feathers, plucking them to wear as play. The bow has given you not just meals, but a place. Before, you were one of many another set of hands to dig tubers, another back to carry wood. Now, you are different, a provider in a new way, a pathfinder on ground no one has walked. That is both pride and burden. When you arrive at camp, the smell of roasted roots and smouldering logs greets you. You lay down the birds, and heads turn, smiles break, voices rise. The meat is quickly plucked, gutted, and set over flame. Grease drips into the fire, hissing, filling the air with a savory smoke that stirs hunger like nothing else. You chew your share slowly, savoring it. Tender, gamey, tinged with ash. Better than roots, better than dried meat. For a moment, the hunger quiets. But as night falls, you notice something else. The clan talks of you now, in whispers and gestures. Some admire, some envy. A few worry. If the bow becomes too important, what happens to those who cannot use it? If only a few master it, do they rise above the rest? You sense a shift in the air, faint but real. Technology is never just about tools, it reshapes people too, lying under the stars, belly fuller than usual. You think of tomorrow, you'll hunt again, because hunger always returns, but you'll also experiment. How many arrows can you make before the wood splits? How long can a bowstring hold before fraying? The bow isn't finished, it's a question still asking itself. You wonder if, thousands of years from now, others will ask the same questions. Stringing bows made not of wood and sinew, but of things you cannot even name. For now, you listen to the last crackles of the fire, the steady breathing of your clan, the distant night birds calling in the trees. The forest never sleeps, and neither does hunger. Tomorrow you will rise again, bow in hand, and try your luck against wings that never stop moving. But tonight, you rest. For once, you've beaten hunger back, if only for a few hours. And in this world, that small victory feels like everything. The fire smoulders low, painting the night in shades of orange and shadow. You sit with the others, the faint taste of bird still lingering on your tongue. The monkey bones charred black in the ashes. Your bow rests nearby, silent but heavy with meaning. You notice how the clan gathers closer to you now. Not out of affection, perhaps, but curiosity. Every tool changes not only how you live, but how you stand among your people. And tonight, the bow feels less like a piece of bent wood and more like a symbol. Children sit cross-legged near your feet, fingering the fletched ends of your arrows, marveling at their balance. One boy plucks the bowstring with a finger, giggling at the low hum it makes, as if the wood itself sings. The elders do not laugh. They study, their eyes gleam in the firelight, measuring you, measuring the tool. Some approve quietly, nodding with wrinkled mouths. Others whisper about danger, about angering unseen forces. In their voices you hear echoes of fear, not just of the forest, but of change itself. Later, the meat is gone, and the camp relaxes into murmurs. Your thoughts drift back to the day's hunt. Birds gave food, monkeys gave fat. But what they gave most was proof. Proof that distance could be turned into advantage. Proof that hunger might not rule every breath. You feel pride, yes, but also a shadow of doubt. What if the bow fails tomorrow? What if too many arrows break? Or strings snap, and the clan looks at you with disappointment instead of awe? You realize then that survival isn't just about killing prey. It's about maintaining belief. Every tool is a promise, and every promise must be renewed. That responsibility now lies on your shoulders. In the days that follow, you hunt again and again. Each trip adds something new to your understanding. Some mornings you bring back birds, sometimes nothing. Once, you wound a monkey but failed to retrieve it. The clan eats what you carry, but they also watch the failures. The bow is no miracle, just another gamble, though perhaps a better one than most. Still, you see the subtle ways it reshapes your world. Around the fire, you hear laughter about how hunters with spears must chase for hours, while you return with food after half a day. Children play at drawing imaginary bows, mimicking your stance, loosing invisible arrows into the dark. Even the women who gather roots talk of how the bow might help guard against predators while they work in the open. Slowly, the idea of distance, of striking from afar, seeps into every corner of life. One evening, as smoke curls into the sky, an elder tells a story. His voice is rough, his hands scarred from years of spears. He recalls the first time someone in his youth discovered fire by accident, how half the clan feared it, how they thought it would burn the spirits away. Yet fire became survival, warmth, community. This bow, he says, staring at you, is fire again? But fire cuts both ways. The group falls silent, weighing his words. You shift uneasily, unsure whether it is blessing or warning. Another elder disagrees. She argues that spears bind the hunters together. One drives prey toward another. Spears are teamwork. But bows, she says, make hunters solitary, alone, quiet, hiding in the bushes. She fears that too many bows will break the unity of the hunt, turn everyone into lone wolves. Her words plant unease in your mind. You hadn't thought of that, but now, as you lie awake, you imagine a clan scattered across the forest, each chasing prey alone, each boasting alone at night. Would bonds fray? Stories fade. Historians still argue whether the bow spread quickly through ancient people or lingered in pockets, resisted by those who clung to spears. You live that argument now, in the flicker of fire and the rustle of voices. Some see the bow as salvation, others as disruption. And you, the one who wields it, stand between admiration and suspicion. Yet survival makes its own arguments. Days of hunger come, and those who doubted you grow silent when the birds roast over flame. Even the skeptical elder gnaws bones with quiet gratitude. In lean times, resistance fades, replaced by the gnawing truth of an empty belly. Tools win loyalty not through debate, but through nourishment. The social shift is subtle but real. You notice the way others glance at you differently, not just as one of many, but as something like a leader. They ask your advice more often, not just about hunting, but about campfires, shelters, even disputes. A tool that brings food also brings status. Whether you seek it or not, you find yourself speaking carefully, weighing words, knowing they carry more weight than before. At night, when the camp quiets, you wonder if this is the first taste of hierarchy, something larger than mere age or strength. If tools create providers, and providers become leaders, then perhaps this bow is not just wood and sinew. Perhaps it is the seed of power itself. One evening, a quarrel breaks out. A young hunter, jealous of your successes, mocks your bird catch, calling it food for children. He brandishes his spear, saying real hunters face boars, not sparrows. The clan watches closely. You could argue, you could challenge him. Instead, you simply hold up the bow. Calmly, you remind him that the last boar hunt ended with wounds and no meat, while the bow fed everyone, however modestly. Murmurs ripple, and the elder, who once compared the bow to fire, nods approvingly. The challenger lowers his spear, muttering, "For now, the balance holds, but you know it won't forever." Tools change power, and power reshapes people. Already, children practice drawing invisible bows. Already, women weave extra fibers, curious about stronger strings. The bow has spread beyond your hands, and soon it will belong to all. The thought brings relief and dread in equal measure. As stars bloom in the sky, you sit by the dying fire, the bow across your lap. You think of the day's small victories, the way smoke curled around roasted feathers, the way laughter rose after hunger quieted. You think of the murmurs, the envy, the debates. All of it feels like something larger than yourself, as if you've stepped onto a path stretching beyond the forest, beyond even your clan. For now, though, you close your eyes. Tomorrow the hunt begins again. Tomorrow hunger will return, sharp as ever. And tomorrow, once more, you will raise the bow, draw the string, and gamble with distance, speed, and survival. Because in this world, promises last only a day and must be renewed with every sunrise. The night is heavy, stars scattered like sparks across the sky, and the fire burns lower than usual. You sit close to its warmth, the bow leaning against your leg, and you listen not to the forest, but to your own people. The clan speaks in low tones, words curling upward with the smoke, debates sharper than the crack of dry branches. Hunger unites, but tools divide. And tonight, the bow is not just wood and string. It is a question, and everyone seems to have an answer. An elder clears his throat, voice gravelly with age. The spear has carried us since the first hunts. It is strong. It is simple. It has never betrayed us. The bow is clever. Yes, but cleverness can twist into weakness. What if the string snaps in the middle of the hunt? What if an arrow shatters against stone? Then the hunter stands defenseless. Murmurs of agreement rise, heads nodding in the firelight. He leans closer, eyes catching the glow. Better a weapon you can trust than one that promises much but breaks when you need it. Across from him, another elder shakes her head. She gestures toward you, toward the meat still clinging to the monkey bones piled nearby. And yet, we ate tonight because of this bow. Spears did not catch the bird. Spears did not strike the monkey from the tree. We cannot ignore what feeds us. Perhaps the bow is not betrayal, but gift. A gift that demands patience. Yes, but no more than fire once demanded. The younger hunters whisper among themselves, torn between tradition and possibility. One fiddles with a spear point, turning it in his fingers, as if weighing its worth. Another eyes your bow, his gaze sharp with envy. You realize then that every invention carries shadows. Food fills bellies, but it also stirs pride, rivalry, fear. Historians still argue whether early humans embraced new tools quickly or resisted them. clinging to what was familiar. You live that debate in every breath of smoke tonight. Some crave innovation, others cling to tradition, and between them flickers uncertainty. The fire crackles, as if mocking your indecision. A boy, no more than 10 summers old, blurts out a question. What if we had 10 bows? What if every hunter carried one? His words hang in the air, innocent yet bold. The adults laugh softly, some shaking their heads, others falling silent as the thought takes root. 10 bows, 10 hunters shooting at once. The image feels strange, almost dangerous, but also powerful. You picture it, a rain of arrows, prey collapsing before the charge even begins. But the idea unsettles you. Would such power make hunting easier or lazier? Would it make hunters reckless, arrogant, believing themselves untouchable? You wonder if too much distance from the prey will numb respect for life. Already, some part of you feels different when an arrow strikes. Spears demand closeness, struggle, the heat of the animal's breath. Arrows take that intimacy away. The argument by the fire continues long into the night. One side fears fragility, the other praises promise. Some raise their voices, others fall into mutters. The debate is not settled, nor will it be anytime soon. Tools rarely win hearts quickly. They wear down resistance through repetition, through necessity, until even skeptics accept them. You suspect the bow will follow the same path? Later, the fire dies to glowing embers, and you step away, bow slung across your back. The forest feels quieter after so much human noise. You hear the sigh of wind through branches, the faint rustle of unseen animals. The air smells damp, carrying the promise of rain. You breathe deeply, grateful for silence. You wonder if other clans elsewhere have stumbled upon the same invention, maybe in another valley, another forest. Hunters sit around their own fires, arguing the same points. Or perhaps you are alone, carrying a secret the world has not yet caught. Both possibilities thrill and frighten you. To be first is power, but it is also isolation. The next morning, the arguments echo in your mind as you set out to hunt again. Each step feels heavier, not from hunger, but from the weight of expectation. The clan looks at you now, not just as a provider, but as proof. If you fail, doubts will bloom. If you succeed, pressure will mount. The bow has tied your fate to its own. You pause at a clearing, scanning the branches for movement. A flash of wings catches your eye. You kneel, steady, patient. The arrow flies, strikes true, and another bird falls. Relief surges, followed quickly by unease. Each success fuels the debate back home. Each failure would, too. You cannot escape it now. By midday, you carry 2 birds and a bundle of roots. Not much, but enough to soothe rumbling stomachs. As you walk, you replay the boy's question in your mind. 10 bows. You imagine teaching others. You imagine no longer carrying this alone. The idea tastes both sweet and bitter. When you return, the clan gathers as always, eyes drawn to your belt, to the feathers dangling there. They eat, they murmur, they weigh the evidence again. The debate is not settled, but food dulls resistance. Hunger is a brutal persuader. That night, as the fire burns low again, you overhear 2 hunters whispering. One says he wants to learn, the other scoffs, saying it is too delicate, too slow. Their voices fade, but the seed is planted. The bow has already begun to spread. Not by decree, but by curiosity. And curiosity, once sparked, rarely dies. You lie awake under the stars, staring at the dark canopy above. The debates will continue, perhaps for years. Some will fear, some will envy, some will praise, but none will ignore. That is the true mark of change, not silence, but endless argument. You smile faintly at the thought, though your eyes grow heavy. Tomorrow, you will hunt again. Tomorrow, the bow will sing again. And tomorrow, the debate will flare again, around fire and smoke and hunger. For now, though, you let the forest lull you, and you drift into dreams of arrows flying like rain. The rain arrives before dawn, a soft hiss across the treetops, dripping into the soil, tapping on leaves in a rhythm that blurs into your half-dreaming state. You wake damp but alert, the bow still within reach, its sinew string protected under bark sheathing. Rain means more than wet ground. It means movement. Animals grow restless, shifting for shelter, and hunters stir with new purpose. You rise, Stretch your stiff limbs. And breathe the sharp scent of wet earth, knowing the day will test you again. You tread carefully, mud sucking at your feet, droplets clinging to your lashes. The forest feels alive in a different way under the storm, sounds muted, colors saturated, scent strong enough to taste. Birds shriek above. Monkeys call out, startled by the shifting canopy. You notch an arrow, move slow, patient, letting the rain cover the faint creaks of your bow. Somewhere ahead, prey hides, and your stomach reminds you that skill must meet need. But something new stirs inside you. It is not just hunger anymore. Each step feels like part of a larger rhythm, as though your own body is weaving into the forest's storm song. You catch sight of a parrot, feathers flashing bright against grey drizzle, and you hesitate not because you doubt your aim, but because you marvel. How strange that this bird does not yet know humans can strike from afar. A spear would never reach it here, safe among the branches. But your bow changes the rules. You let the arrow fly, and the bird drops silently, surprise etched in every feather. You feel pride, but also unease. The distance unsettles you again. Did you earn this kill, or did you trick the world into giving it? Historians still argue whether early hunters wrestled with guilt or saw prey only as resource. You live the question with every pull of string. Returning to camp, the parrot swinging from your belt, you find a circle waiting not around the fire this time, but around something else. A boy holds a branch bent clumsily, vine wrapped tight, a stone lashed at the end. It is his imitation of your bow. Crooked but ambitious, he beams with pride. Yet others laugh, shaking heads at the fragile copy. You see yourself in his effort, the first awkward stringing, the first arrow gone wild. You remember the sting of doubt and the thrill of possibility. You crouch, take the bow gently, adjust his knots, and hand it back. Try again. You murmur, though you keep your voice calm. Easy, as though nothing world-shifting stirs beneath. The boy pulls, awkward. The string quivers. The arrow falls short, but the clan falls silent. They are not laughing now. They are watching. You realize in that moment the debate is already tilting. Curiosity spreads faster than fear. That evening, the elders raise their voices again. One warns of too many weapons changing the way children grow too much reliance. Too little struggle. Another insists new hunters must learn both tools, spear and bow, lest they forget the old ways. The fire throws shadows across their faces, and you notice the lines of age seem deeper tonight. They carry memories of years where hunger pressed harder, where the spear was salvation. Change feels like betrayal to them. But the younger ones, they are restless. They eye the bow, the way wolves eye a fresh kill hungry, eager, unafraid. They press closer when you adjust strings, when you carve shafts, when you test arrow flight. They ask questions faster than you can answer. Some nights, you joke that if questions were meat, the clan would never go hungry. The laughter softens the tension, though it never erases it. Still, tension has weight. One morning, two hunters quarrel openly, one clutching his spear, the other demanding the right to learn the bow. Their shouts echo across the trees, startling birds into flight. For a moment, you fear the fight will turn bloody, but it fizzles into silence. Both retreating with simmering anger. Tools divide as much as they provide. You wonder if this is the true danger, less the bow itself, more the rivalry it breeds. A quirky thought drifts into your mind. Crocodile dung once smeared on skin to ward off insects, a trick some distant clans swear by. The elders argue about bows, yet happily smear themselves in dung without debate. Humans are strange that way, quick to accept some oddities, stubborn against others. You chuckle quietly, drawing confused stares, but you offer no explanation. As days pass, your role shifts. You are no longer just a hunter. You are teacher, mediator, lightning rod. The bow is no longer only yours. It belongs to the clan's arguments, the clan's future. You feel the weight, but also the pull of history, as though something larger than hunger guides your steps. You sense that this invention is not small, not temporary. It will ripple outward, into valleys you will never see, into hands not yet born. The rain returns, heavier this time, and the forest grows lush, bursting with life. With each hunt, you notice more. Birds nest higher, monkeys shift their patterns, prey learning faster than expected. You wonder if the animals sense the new threat, adjusting their instincts as you sharpen your own. Perhaps they too debate. In the rustle of leaves and chatter of branches, what to do about humans with strings and arrows. At night, you dream strange dreams, arrows flying endlessly, people you do not know, building fires far from here, boughs stacked in rows like branches fallen in storms. You wake unsettled but fascinated, as though the forest itself whispers futures you cannot yet name. The clan continues to eat, to argue, to adapt. Some days feel like victory, others like burden. But one thing is clear. The bow has crossed a threshold. It is no longer just experiment. It is necessity. Even the loudest skeptic cannot ignore the meat on their plate. You sit by the fire, listening again. Not to the debate this time, but to the rain. Steady, patient, eternal. You realize debates fade, but tools remain. The spear once sparked argument too, and fire before that. And every change that followed. Humans resist, then yield, then forget they ever doubted. You smile faintly, comforted by the thought, someday, perhaps, no one will remember a time without bulls. For now, though, the rain continues, and tomorrow's hunt waits. You cradle the bow across your lap, feel the pulse of string under your fingers, and close your eyes. The storm hums, the fire glows, and sleep takes you slowly, like an arrow gliding through air. Dawn stretches pale fingers across the canopy, tinting the world in soft grey. The storm has finally broken, leaving mist clinging to the undergrowth, every leaf jeweled with droplets. You rise slowly, stiff from the damp, and sling the bow across your back. The clan stirs too, yawning, rubbing sleep from their eyes. Their shapes ghost-like in the fog. There's a hush over the morning, as if the forest itself is holding its breath, waiting for something more than just the next hunt. You set out, moving with others, but today feels different. The ground is slick beneath your feet, and every step leaves a dark print in the mud. Ahead, the forest reveals a gathering of birds, dozens of them picking at fallen fruit. The sight halts everyone. It is more food than you've seen in weeks if you can reach it. Spears shift in hands, eyes gleam with hunger. But the distance is cruel. The birds perch high, well beyond the thrust of wood. Frustration buzzes like gnats in the air. You lift the bow. The others fall silent, watching. Their skepticism lingers, but so does their hope. You notch an arrow, breathe deep, steady. Rainwater trickles down your cheek, cold as the moment before the strike. You pull, release, and the arrow sings. It finds its mark. A bird tumbles, flutters, lands with a thud. Gasps ripple behind you. Then cheers. Encouraged, you notch another. This time, one of the younger hunters mimics you, fumbling with his rough copy. His arrow arcs clumsily, but it flies. 2 birds down. The flock scatters, but not before leaving behind food for the clan. When you return, the debate does not rise. No one can argue with the meat roasting over flames. Fat dripping, sizzling, smoke curling upward in thick ribbons. For the first time, silence carries no doubt, only satisfaction. You catch the elder watching you, eyes narrowing, but his mouth says nothing. Perhaps even he has no more arguments. Hunger wins debates better than words ever could. Yet in that silence, you sense something larger stirring something beyond food. The bow is no longer simply yours, nor a question for the fire's edge. It is becoming part of the clan's rhythm, slipping into daily life like water into soil. Children play with crooked strings, imitating your stance. Young hunters carve straighter arrows, refining with each attempt. Even the doubters carry curiosity now, hands twitching when they see the bow bend. It spreads, quietly, like roots beneath the earth. Historians still argue whether such inventions traveled slowly between groups or sparked suddenly like wildfire across regions. You wonder about that yourself. Somewhere beyond the ridge, in another valley, perhaps another human is bending wood even now. Or maybe your clan alone carries this secret, a fragile flame that could vanish if you fall. Both thoughts stir your chest with uneasy pride. You notice, too, how prey begins to change. Monkeys keep farther from the lower branches. Flocks lift sooner at the hint of movement. Deer hesitate longer before stepping into open glades. The forest seems to learn, adjusting itself in ways both subtle and sharp. It reminds you that change never flows only one way. Humans shift, But so does everything they touch. One evening, as fire crackles and smoke curls into the night, you overhear another boy whisper to his sister, "What if one day hunters can strike from even farther? What if arrows fly beyond trees, beyond rivers?" His voice holds wonder, not fear, and you realize the bow has already sparked more than survival. It has seeded imagination. The thought makes you smile, but it also sends a shiver down your spine. Tools do not stay small. They grow, they twist, they reshape not just the hunt, but the hunters themselves. Spears once demanded closeness, demanded courage to face teeth and claws. Bows, though they stretch the distance, they soften the danger, perhaps, but they also harden the heart, turning killing into a quieter act. You wonder what that will do to people. Given enough time, still, the present presses harder than the future. The clan eats better now. Strength returns to limbs. Laughter rises more often. Children play with fuller bellies. Around the fire, songs creep back into nights that once echoed only with growls of hunger. The bow has changed more than the hunt. It has changed the mood of the camp, lightening spirits that were heavy with doubt. A quirky rumor spreads among the hunters that the birds gossip among themselves, warning of the humans who strike from afar. One hunter swears he heard monkeys chattering differently when he carried the bow. Of course, it's half jest, half superstition, but it sticks in your mind. You catch yourself smiling at the idea of animals holding secret counsels about you. The thought is absurd, and yet you've seen how quickly they adapt. Maybe it isn't so absurd after all. By now, you feel the story of the bow is no longer just yours to carry. Others string, others shoot, others argue about wood types and feather fletching. You watch them, proud and uneasy, realizing the bow is escaping your hands. It belongs to everyone now, and soon it will belong to history. The fire burns low, embers glowing red like buried suns. You sit close, eyes heavy, ears tuned to the rhythm of forest and flame. The debate, the hunts, the doubts, the triumphs, they swirl together. No longer separate moments, but one long thread. You realize you have walked from hunger into history, step by step, string by string. And here, at the edge of sleep, you let the weight slip from your shoulders. Tomorrow will bring more arrows, more birds, more questions. Tomorrow will bring more arguments, more laughter, more hunger. But tonight, the forest hums low and steady. The clan rests, and the bow lies across your lap like a trusted companion. You close your eyes, breathing deep, letting the warmth sink into your bones. The future stretches vast, unseen. But for now, the moment is enough. The bow has spoken, and the forest has answered, and you are simply part of the song. Now the story drifts to a close, not with a sudden stop, but with a soft unraveling, like mist thinning under the first light of morning. Your mind may still carry echoes of arrows flying, of branches swaying, of firelight flickering against ancient faces. But those images fade gently, becoming softer with every breath you take. Feel the rhythm slow, your heartbeat matching the calm hush of the forest after rain. Picture the campfire burning lower, its crackle quieter, its glow dimmer, until only embers remain, pulsing like sleepy stars. Around it, the clan curls into rest, voices hushed, movement stilled, all tension dissolving into the safety of night. You can let go of the questions, now the debates, the rivalries, the uncertainties. They belong to another time, a time long before yours. All that remains here is the steady drift of quiet, the gentle weight of rest pressing down like a blanket. Imagine the bow itself, set aside, leaning peacefully against a stone. No longer a tool of tension, but simply wood and string at rest. Even it deserves sleep. As do you. Your breath deepens. Your body loosens. Your thoughts soften into fragments that float like leaves upon water. Nothing to chase, nothing to prove. Only the long, slow exhale of release. The story fades into silence, and you are safe to follow it down into dreams.